All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ole Miss After Dark. I'm joined here once again by my main man, Hitch. We're here to talk about the Arkansas series. Ole Miss had a golden opportunity with the number three team in the country in their own stadium. Take the Friday night game, obviously, and then weather blows in Saturday, pushes that one back to a 6 o'clock first pitch, and then obviously the Sunday game there at 1:30. And Ole Miss had an opportunity to take the series, squandered an opportunity there, particularly on Sunday. I think to an extent on Saturday as well. But we'll dive into all that here in a little bit before we get going. How you doing, bud?
Good man, good. Survived the weather this weekend. I know the Envil bubble
Mm-hmm.
really provided some protection over that way, and so I'm just glad to see that it's still going strong.
Yeah. You had actually texted me on Saturday morning. You told me that the Inval bubble was going to get a workout today. I told you not to
Yep.
worry. I've been doing this for 30 plus years at this point. I don't know why people keep trying to check in on me whenever weather's coming through. It's not going to hit here. It's going to track right at us, but then that bubble's going to bounce that sucker all the way around, and unfortunately, it's going to end up hitting somewhere else. So all good here in Inval. I know y'all had a rough go of it there early Saturday in particular, but looks like you ended up making it through as well.
It usually goes like for whatever reason, my wife has a theory about I don't know, but for some reason, a lot of times we're just kind of like y'all, how it will just miss us a lot. A lot of times it goes just south of us when the weather comes through.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we made it fine and happy that it was early so that we could get some baseball in Saturday night.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get to that here in just a second. We do realize that it didn't miss everybody. Obviously, the town of Elliott, I believe it was called, and then Tyler's town as well. Obviously, saw the devastation there from the tornado. So, hopefully, if we have any listeners out there in those communities in particular, it seems to be what got hit hardest. Thinking about y'all, hoping for a speedy recovery for y'all's communities, and hopefully a long time before y'all have to experience anything like that ever again. But Hitch, diving into baseball now. Rebels got off to that hot start on Friday. One thing looking at this series that I thought was really encouraging before we get to the not so encouraging stuff, obviously later on here when talking about this weekend. We did a really good job of getting off to hot starts, right? We scored 2 runs each Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, jump out to the lead. Saturday and Sunday, pretty disappointing because, Saturday you get the bases loaded, no outs. Sunday you get the bases loaded, 2 outs, but you still want to get that big hit right there. Try to bust that thing open, and it probably feels like a different game if you're able to put up more of a crooked number in those two situations.
Yeah, I think that's the story of the weekend. Even
Mm-hmm.
though we didn't really bust through for a big inning on Friday, we had 3 or 4 innings where we scored 2 runs, I believe, and so it really felt like when they gave us a chance, they gave us a free pass or an error, hit by pitch, something. We made those hurt, maybe not to the extent that we'd like to see, because we did leave 11 runners on Friday night, but we
Mm-hmm.
did put up some numbers there in a few innings. And then the rest of the weekend, it really felt like Arkansas turned that on its head, really flipped the script, to steal an old phrase from Moody, and had a couple of big innings on Saturday and a couple of big innings on Sunday. I know they had an 8-run inning, a 3-run inning, a 4-run inning, and we really never could break through with the big inning. Like you said, we would get bases loaded, no outs, scratch one, maybe none. Bases loaded, 2 outs. That's a tougher situation, but you still got some guys here that you expect to come through in those situations. And it really felt like we would get off to good starts in innings and then kind of peter out and not really come through like Arkansas was able to.
Yeah. And that Friday night game, kind of like you talked about, we had multiple innings of at least 2 runs, right? You scored 2 in the first, 2 in the second, 1 in the third, 2 in the fourth, 2 in the fifth, and then 1 in the sixth. So you scored the first 6 innings there, really put the pressure on Arkansas, and like that game was ever in doubt with the way the offense was rolling there against Zach Root, a guy that we talked about last week being probably their best pitcher. They ended up moving up Friday night, moving Gackle back to Saturday here. That's the guy we said we had to really get after. Looked like we were getting after him pretty good early on Saturday. And I think that's where the missed opportunity was. Bases loaded, no outs. You're one hitter away from knocking the starter out in the first inning, right? Because he was not going to come out and pitch to the lefty right there. But they end up getting out there and getting out of the inning. That seemed to be the turning point for me because Gackle really settled in on Saturday from that point forward and gave a really good performance.
Yeah, I mean, he did. I wrote it down. The first inning he had his troubles, and then inning 2, 3, and 4, he went 6 strikeouts. He allowed a walk and an E4, right? So he didn't give up a hit. He just kind of went through the lineup, bang, 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 there in those 3 innings. And I don't know what he changed. It was after a mound visit. So my guess is that maybe the pitching coach saw something mechanical that he was doing or that they've been working on, and they changed it, and he was a different pitcher from that last out in the first to the last out into the fourth for sure.
Yeah, and if I'm remembering right, after the bases got loaded, no out, that's when I believe Udermark came up, ended up getting him. Was it strikeout, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah. He struck him out right there. And then right up after that, Furness hits into that big double play that just really killed the momentum there, got him out. And he settled down and ended up having a really, really good game. Let's circle back real quick to Friday night because this is something me and you were talking about in real time. So might as well bring it up here on the show. Ole Miss has a comfortable lead, right? I mean, obviously nothing's insurmountable in the SEC, but you're through 5 innings here at this point, and so then you are up. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9-2 at that point, and you pull Hunter Elliott and you bring in Mason Morris up 7 runs. Mason's been our best bullpen arm so far this year, in my opinion. I think in your opinion, I'm not sure how anybody could question that statement. Why would you bring him in up 9-2 right there instead of saving him later on in the weekend? Because I think me and you both agree that wouldn't have been the arm that I brought out following Hunter Elliott.
Yeah, to me, if the runners that are the big innings that Arkansas had versus the big innings that we didn't have was the story of the weekend. To me, like this was 1A or 2. Was I think that if you use the bullpen differently on Friday night, then I think the games on Saturday and Sunday are different as well. Now, like you said, nothing's insurmountable, right? We were up 9-2. But I thought that this would probably been it was a missed opportunity or a good opportunity for Mike to get maybe some of these freshmen that we've been seeing every weekend up until now. Not even Walker Hooks, right? Like he's been like maybe some of these other guys like the Cade Townsend. I know he's not a freshman, but Hudson Calhoun.
Yeah.
Any of these guys that we've seen throughout the season on the first 3 weekends so far. Get them some experience, some SEC experience, in there on a short leash, right? And you can go get them. You have that ability. I just think that taking Mason Morris, who you said and who I agree has been the best arm in the bullpen so far, and putting him into the game at this point up 9-2 just didn't make sense to me. And you also because now you're expecting him to go the remainder of the game, you've blown him for the rest of the weekend. So if there is a high leverage situation on Saturday or Sunday, which there were a bunch of them, you don't have, and maybe Connor Spencer is your best arm in the bullpen, and I would agree with that, but you have lost who has been so far the biggest arm or like the arm that you have seemed to go to the most when you need an out, right? You have lost that arm on Saturday and Sunday because you used him on Friday. I didn't get the move. I'm with you. And I think that it really put us in a bind on Saturday whenever Riley Maddox runs into a little bit of trouble there in the 5th inning. And you got the Alloy brothers coming up. I think at that point, maybe you go to Riley Maddox. I mean, you go to Mason Morris, and it's a completely different game.
Yeah. I totally agree with you right there. And it was you talk about Riley Maddox and that obviously big inning they had, 8-run inning in the fifth there. That was another one where look, Arkansas, they ended up taking the lead 3-2 there in the fifth inning on a Dovelin home run there. And then it's just boom, 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 right? Will McCausland comes in, gives it back-to-back home runs to the Alloy brothers, and everything just kind of unraveled on you there. What do you think overall with I don't want to call it struggles really because they've been really good. Hunter Elliott works out of a lot of trouble there on Friday. Uh, Riley Maddox does the same there on Saturday early on until that big 8-run fifth inning, right? But it seems like their control hasn't quite been there. Elliott's hit 5 batters already this year, already up in double digits and walks, along with Riley Maddox. I think the thing that I take away from it is these guys got to get back in the strike zone, right? Because when their stuff will play in the strike zone, it's good enough. Throw strikes, make them beat you. Seems like we're just giving away too many free base runners right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And two, I think that you're also facing a higher quality of lineup who's going to have a better eye, who's not going to swing in a lot of those borderline pitches that a Wright State or a Jack State may be inclined to swing at. So you're probably going to have higher walk numbers once we get here. But yeah, you're 100% right. Especially a guy like Riley Maddox, who it isn't going to strike a lot of guys out. Generally, he can, right? But he can have some. I think he had some games last year where he struck out 7 or 8. But he's a pitch to contact guy. He wants you to beat it into the ground and throw it across the diamond. Hunter Elliott, on the other hand, is going to try. He's trying to strike people out. And so he'll probably be out of the zone a little bit more. And so, I just think it comes down to just a better lineup. Like you're facing a better lineup, a better tier of players. And I think Riley Maddox pitched pretty well on Saturday. I think he made more than the one mistake, the Davlin home run. I think he got away with a couple. But for the most part, him and Hunter Elliott both, and Mason Nichols, right? All of them, all 3 days, did what they needed to do to keep us in the game, for our offense to kind of come through.
Yeah. It was just kind of looking at Sunday too as well. That was pretty disappointing being able to drop that game. Ole Miss is up 4-0 going into the fourth inning, and they're up 4-3 going into the sixth right there. Mason Nichols pitches pretty well for us, 4 2/3, 1 earned run, does give up 3 runs, 5 strikeouts, only 1 walk. Defense let us down this game, Hits. There's no other way to say it. Obviously, a really big injury for Ole Miss on Friday night. Luke Chain getting hit in the face on that bunt attempt there. He was out the remainder of the weekend. Owen Pano gets slid into shortstop, and Owen's a very highly regarded prospect, obviously, freshman, top freshman on the team, number 8 overall, according to Perfect Game, I believe it was, coming into this year of freshmen that actually made it to campus. Right now, I think it's safe to say he's in his head a little bit right now, particularly defensively. 7 errors and 52 chances, a couple big ones there on Sunday that quite frankly led to that Ole Miss loss. I hate to put everything on one person. Sure, we could have done more, particularly in that first inning, got more runs, wouldn't have come down to that. And then you have the Udermark throw that damn near gets Luke Hill killed over there at first base there as well on that double play. He had a tough day Sunday. None of that was his fault. Gets hit by a pitch, gets run over by a runner there at first. Great play by Will Furnace, by the way, fielding that bunt and getting it to third. Udermark's got to make that play in turn 2 right there. And then all of a sudden that error doesn't matter near as much as it did there in the 9th inning. But the way it sits now, I think it's safe to say we need Luke Chain back. We need him back pretty quick. Come Tuesday against Southern Miss, if Luke Chain's not able to play, you've got to have either Luke Hill there or maybe try Federico. But Pano, again, 7 errors on 52 chances so far. I think he's going to be a really good player. But right now, things are snowballing for him defensively.
Yeah, it's almost like you are reading, like I never write anything down or like anything like that before we record. But I did today, and it's almost like you're reading what I wrote down, because I was going to say,
I didn't read
like, I was going to say, story number 3 of the weekend for me was how important Luke Chang is to the team offensively and defensively, kind of under the radar, right? Like, you're never going to hear, other people, not other people. I don't want to short sell it, but it's not like he's going to lead the team in average or home runs, RBIs, stolen bases, right? Like that. He may lead the team in fielding percentage, right? Get hit by pitch, things like that. But he's never going to be on the other team's scouting report as, oh, you better, not mess up to this guy. And just being able to be that type of player on this team is huge. And I think that, we miss it because I'm like you. I don't want to put a loss on one single player, but I mean, I feel like if Luke Chang is the shortstop there in the 9th inning, that we win that game yesterday. And so it's just that was a tough one to swallow when the defense kind of lets you down, because unfortunately you have the hangover from last year and being let down by the defense quite a bit. So I'm with you, man. Luke Chang makes a huge difference. I just said it a while ago. I think Mason Morris did more than enough to win the game here and put us in a position to win. And there was also a few situations in this game that, hey, if you had Mason Morris, if you had saved him, then it may not have been you may have been able to limit those Arkansas big innings. But we've talked that to death, so whatever.
Yeah. Well, that and you don't have to extend Connor Spencer 2 2/3 innings after he comes in, has to get those final 2 outs on Friday as well, right? Like that kind of goes hand in hand as well. And look, Pano did go 1 for 4, drove in a run there, had a double on Sunday. I still think the bat's coming around. I don't necessarily hate what I'm seeing at the plate from him, but right now you got to find somewhere else to play him besides shortstop. Move Luke Hill to shortstop if Chang can't go, or try Federico, played there in high school, see what that looks like maybe, or even Braden Randall. Do what you got to do there, but right now he just seems a little bit lost defensively there at shortstop. So, Rebs really let one get away there, which is really unfortunate. That'd been a huge series win, being able to take 2 out of 3 from the number 3 overall team in the country. A lot of bombs hit there on Sunday for the Rebels, though. Luke Hill, Mitchell Sanford, Judd Udermark, and Will Furness all go yard. And, you had that Mitchell Sanford scoring the go-ahead run there in the 8th. Me and you were texting back and forth, and you said, I just hope he ends up at 3rd. I said, dude, I was in the middle of a chicken parm dinner, and I jumped up from the table, and I was waving his ass around.
I was like, there's nobody at 3rd. Like, take 3rd. And then I was like, oh no, Clint's fixing to send you. He's only got one guy thrown out this weekend at the plate. But it's a different situation, right? Like I think he made a mistake, whatever it was, Friday night or Saturday night, because you have the catcher running, and the guy fielded it cleanly, right? I mean, as long as he don't throw it to the backstop, Foley's out. But this time, it's Sanford running. The guy fielded it cleanly, but Sanford's already halfway to 3rd, or 3/4 of the way to 3rd. And so, I think sending him there, and it was the right call, because I mean, he made it, and at the time it was huge. It was a huge run.
Yeah, it was. And again, we end up getting 1 out away from getting that 3rd win. But as baseball goes, sometimes it has a way of humbling you. And anytime one of those Alloy brothers step up with a chance to put Arkansas in the lead, then they usually humble you pretty quick. Those 2 dudes are absolutely incredible, and I don't envy any pitcher that has to face them in the SEC this year, as we found out this weekend. So we're going to move along, though. Take a look at the SEC series around the league, see how everybody did. I ended up getting this off of SEC Baseball, off of Twitter, and it shows how everybody did throughout the weekend. Texas travels to Mississippi State and sweeps the Mississippi State Bulldogs. They had a doubleheader on Sunday. Real shame for State, losing 3 games there. And Texas's first ever SEC series, too. So they start out 3-0 in the conference. the series of the weekend, Florida traveling to Knoxville. This just shows you how good Tennessee is, because that's a really good Florida team. Florida had them on the ropes on Sunday. They were real. They actually got run ruled on Saturday. I was watching that game. It was a 1-1 game in like the seventh inning, and then Tennessee just exploded and ends up run ruling them. That exact inning
it happened
goes for 10
so
or 11
quick.
runs, whatever it was.
Yeah, that
So
run rule
fast. Yeah,
happened.
because I was sitting there watching it, just waiting for the Ole Miss game to come on.
Me too.
But
Me
look,
too.
Tennessee's really, really good. You're going to see them in Oxford here in a few weeks. Grab your popcorns. That's going to be a fun one. Georgia ends up winning 2 out of 3. I think sort of Georgia. I don't know how much of Georgia you've seen so far this year, Hitch. They really, really struggle on the mound. Now they can mash the ball, but man, they get down early every single game. If they keep doing that, this league is going to end up eating them alive. They're not going to be in the top 5 long. Were you able to see any of that series?
I watched a little bit of it, a couple of innings here and there, and it always felt like Georgia was on the mound when I was watching it. And it felt like every pitcher was another top talent that just, couldn't find the strike zone, right? If he's in the zone, he's good, and, things like that. But I didn't see much of it. What I really saw was that Kentucky logo and their uniforms are so bad. Like that Wildcat or whatever they had that looks like a dragon is effing terrible. Sorry.
Yeah. I actually didn't even notice that. I was just watching a little bit of the game, flipping back and forth. But Georgia ends up taking 2 at home. That's what you got to do. And then you move down to the hills. Auburn takes 2 out of 3 out of Vanderbilt. That's a good series win for Auburn there, one they're going to look back on, and that's probably going to end up being a feather in their cap come selection time. Big sweep by Alabama. They go on the road to College Station, get 3 against Texas A&M, and the Aggies are in absolute shambles. Started out preseason number 1, really struggled in the non-con, and now they drop a home series to Alabama, losing all 3 games. What do you make of the Aggies so far? I mean, this is it's an incredible story from how far they have fallen from the start of the season to now.
Yeah, I think that Jace Lavalette and all those other kids that stayed are probably being like, maybe I should have gone to Texas. But yeah, I have no idea. I do know that the Saturday guy for Alabama is good.
Uh-huh.
I watched a little bit of that, and he's going to be tough.
Yeah, and the LeBron kid at shortstop, he can still hit. That hadn't changed from.
He's got 12 home runs already.
I know. He's been unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. He ended up leaving the game on Friday and then coming back Saturday and Sunday, and he's just an all-world hitter. I said last year on the show that there's going to be some SEC team really lucky to have him after he transferred. Kudos to Alabama for stepping up, being able to keep him, because that dude's a ball player.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
Yep. Already mentioned Ole Miss squandering that opportunity. They lose 2 out of 3 to Arkansas. But look, this is an Arkansas team. You look back at the end of the year, you'll probably point to particularly that Sunday game, say, man, we really should have had that one. Hopefully by the end of the year, it won't matter, though, and it won't hone us, because you're not going to get penalized much for losing 2 out of 3 against Arkansas, a really good ball club. Oklahoma went on the road to South Carolina, takes 2 out of 3 against the Gamecocks there. Oklahoma's off to a really hot start so far this year as well, in their first year in the SEC as far as baseball goes. I was kind of wondering if this would be a basketball situation where they run through their non-con, look really good, get to SEC play and kind of fall apart a little bit. But so far, so good for Oklahoma, winning their first SEC series, taking 2 games in Columbia, South Carolina. And then LSU, quite frankly, struggled more than I thought they would, because Missouri stinks out loud, man. They are so bad. And there were a couple games there where Missouri kind of kept it close there, but LSU ends up getting the home sweep over the Missouri Tigers in Baton Rouge as well.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about Missouri, but every time I flipped it over to the Oklahoma USC or South Carolina series, it was on commercial, and I didn't get to see any of that either. I wanted to, but it was a fun weekend to watch baseball. Like, I mean, all of these games were fun to watch. Man, that
Mhm.
Tennessee game, that happened so fast. I know
It
we've
was
already said it, but it was incredible how quickly. Like, I didn't even see what happened because I had flipped over to another
I
game.
did too. I
I
flipped over to
flipped
the
back.
Georgia game because it went to a
Yeah,
commercial or something.
I flipped back and I saw a guy running the bases, and they cut to the studio, and I was like, "What happened?" It was like
Yeah.
5-1.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing was, it was like 2-1 or 1-1 going into that inning,
It was
like it
crazy.
was just nuts. Missouri, real quick to touch on them, they split a 4-game series with Binghamton last weekend. If that tells you anything you need to know about them, they were 8-8 in the non-con, and their non-con strength of schedule was like 238, something like that. It's bad.
Okay.
Their non-conference was so bad that just playing LSU 3 times brought their strength of schedule from 238 all the way up into the 130s.
Okay.
They stink, man. Ole Miss needs to go get 3. But me and Hitch are going to get back with y'all later this week and kind of look at Missouri, try to break that down a little bit, see maybe what we're looking for in that series. So we're actually going to have another show for y'all later on this week, either Wednesday or Thursday, where we look at the Missouri Tigers and look at what Ole Miss needs to do, what they need to show us in this series, their first road SEC series of the year, before returning back home. Before we get out of here, Hitch, you know what time it is, end of the show. Player of the week time. Who's your player of the week this week?
Give me Hayden Federico,
Okay.
simply because of what he did in his first at bat. Right, like that's so impressive. To walk up there and just first pitch, right? Just, hey, hello,
Mm-hmm.
SEC, I'm here. That had to be such a great feeling. Yeah, I'll take Fetty.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with Mitchell Sanford for the second time this year. I'm going to take my guy Mitch. 3 hits on Friday, ends up hitting another home run later on in the weekend. He did have that one bad misplay on Saturday there, but that's when everything had unraveled for the Rebels at that point. It just kind of felt like something like that was coming. But at the plate, Mitchell's looked really, really good here the last few weeks. I kind of wondered whether he was going to be able to keep it up once SEC play started. This gave me confidence that he's going to be able to. He's looked really good. I'll take Mitchell Sanford for my player of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he looks good at the plate along with all these other guys. It was something I was thinking about this weekend. Our transfer portal last year, it really feels like that we were targeting like young guys that were going to stay in the program and kind of mature into the program. And then this past year, feels like we changed our strategy. Like we went after older guys, veteran guys, proven guys, and things like that. And it seems to be a much better strategy that seems to be working out. Even though we dropped the first series in the SEC, I really think they're swinging the bat well. And I don't think we said it at all in the show. This Arkansas offense is crazy. Outside of the Alloy brothers, I mean, you still have the Iredale kid, the Souza kid, the Davlin kid. I don't know if he got out all weekend.
Davlin, yeah.
And so the Arkansas offense is really, really good. But I think up and down our lineup, right now, 1 through 7 or 8 is pretty dangerous, pretty salty. Yeah. And so, I don't feel great coming out of the weekend, dropping the series to 1 and 2. But I think that there are some bright spots coming out of the weekend. I think the starting pitchers pitched really well. I think that all 3 starting pitchers belong in the SEC, and they may all could start on Friday night, at least not on Friday or Saturday. And I think that the offense, outside of Saturday striking out a bunch, the offense, we kept up with Arkansas. I think the offense kept up with Arkansas, and I think maybe the bullpen is a little thinner than we had originally thought. So.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. I would imagine you'll probably find them try to find some other guys too, right? Try to work some other guys. It's been over a week since we've seen like Hudson Calhoun. That's another guy that
that's
has
what
good
blew my
stuff
mind.
that I think can end up hitting you. helping you. Sam Takuyan, a guy that's got good stuff, he can end up helping you as well, right? So I think we've got some guys down there. We got to start incorporating them a little bit. Maybe look around, go a little bit deeper, try to find arms that can come in here and throw strikes. The high leverage situations, that's what you got to get taken care of there, right? If you don't have somebody that can take care of high leverage situations, you're going to struggle in this league. So that's one thing we do need to fix on the pitching side. But again, I think there's talent there. Like I said, I think the lineup's deep enough. At least 1 through 7. When Chain's in there, it's even deeper, not because of how dangerous he is with the bat, because he's going to give you a quality at bat every single time, right? He's going to work the count, get hit, walk. And then when he puts the bat on the ball, he can find a hole with it as well. So, there's definitely optimism. I think we're clearly better than we were the previous 2 years. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So we'll keep an eye on it, kind of monitor different situations as the season goes along. And we will, like I say, get back with y'all here in a couple of days, talk about Missouri a little bit, and then take y'all's questions as well. If y'all have any questions for the show leading into this series or anything else Rebel baseball related, drop a comment under this video or tag the Ole Miss After Dark Twitter account or my Twitter account, Little Fat Dids, or you can send it over to Hitch, and by the time he sees it, we'll talk about it like a month from now, something like that. So either way, get a hold of us there, and we'll answer some of y'all's questions later on in the week too. Hitch, appreciate it, buddy, and I'll talk to you here soon.
Howdy, toddy.